My husband took me on vacation to save our marriage, but a hidden letter revealed his betrayal. Anna stood on the front porch of her cozy brick house, the early morning sun casting a golden glow over the quiet suburban street. Birds chirped softly in the nearby trees, their songs weaving through the gentle breeze that lifted the hem of her light cardigan. She wrapped her arms around herself, as though trying to protect the fragile hope flickering inside her chest. She took a deep breath and gazed at the neighborhood that had witnessed so much of her life. This was the same street where she and Mark had walked hand in hand as newlyweds, laughing about the future, drunk on possibility. This was where neighbors waved with familiarity, where Christmas lights twinkled each December, and where the smell of barbecue wafted through the air in summer. Anna believed that love could endure, that with honesty and patience, two people could conquer anything together. She was a woman of hope, a woman who held loyalty above all else. And yet, the quiet crept into their marriage like ivy growing along the brick walls. It had started subtly. A missed dinner. A late meeting. A cold shoulder that lingered too long. At first, she'd convinced herself it was just the exhaustion of life, of bills, deadlines, family obligations. But as months rolled on, the laughter faded, and the silence between them grew dense enough to suffocate. One crisp autumn evening, after a dinner that tasted of awkward small talk and clinking cutlery, Mark took her hand across the table. His fingers were warm but trembling slightly, and his eyes darted away as he spoke. "I think we should go away for a while," he said, voice low. "Maybe a trip could help us find each other again." Anna felt something sharp and icy stab through her ribs. Was this guilt she saw in his eyes? Or just fear of losing what they'd built? But even as suspicion gnawed at the back of her mind, she latched onto the possibility that this could be a turning point. She nodded, managing a soft smile. "I'd like that." He squeezed her hand tighter, as though afraid she might slip away if he let go. To Anna, this trip was more than a vacation. It was an attempt at salvation, a chance to mend frayed threads and breathe new life into something precious. She imagined long walks along the shoreline, the two of them talking late into the night, rediscovering the magic that once tethered their souls together. They settled on a small coastal town tucked away on the eastern shore of the United States, a place Anna had once seen in a magazine, its images awash in soft pastels and the glimmer of ocean waves. It was known for its pristine beaches, cozy cottages, and quaint little shops. The decision felt perfect, a place where time might slow down enough to let them find each other again. Anna packed her suitcase meticulously, folding each item as if folding away her worries. She tucked her favorite pale blue dress inside, along with her sun hat and a small leather-bound notebook. She planned to write during the trip, to capture their days, their conversations, the small moments that might become the glue holding them together. She wanted to believe that love was stronger than fear. From the moment they arrived, the town felt like a watercolor painting come to life. White picket fences framed pathways lined with seashells. The salty breeze kissed Anna's cheeks, carrying hints of pine from the surrounding woods. The small harbor bobbed gently with boats that creaked inside in the water, as though whispering secrets of countless sunsets. The hotel was quaint, a weathered building with teal shutters and blooming hydrangeas spilling over its entrance. Their room faced the ocean, and Anna found herself mesmerized by the shifting colors of the waves. She imagined the two of them sitting on the balcony in the soft glow of dawn, fingers entwined, letting the past fade away like footprints washed from the sand. But almost immediately, Anna noticed the subtle cracks in Mark's facade. He smiled for the front desk clerk and carried their luggage up the narrow wooden stairs, but he kept glancing at his phone, his thumbs moving quickly over the screen whenever he thought Anna wasn't looking. During check-in, he murmured something about work emails, but his voice held a brittle edge that made Anna's skin prickle. That first night, Anna dressed in her pale blue dress and let the ocean breeze play with her hair as they walked along the shore. She reached for Mark's hand and tried to forget the strain that seemed to buzz quietly between them. Mark chuckled softly and squeezed her fingers. "This place is beautiful," he said, staring out toward the darkening horizon. The sun was sinking, scattering ribbons of crimson and gold across the water. Anna smiled, choosing hope. It's perfect for us. Maybe this is what we needed. But as they strolled, she felt a gulf opening up between them, deeper than the ocean's tide pools. Mark's responses were brief, his eyes distant, as though he was conversing with invisible ghosts only he could see. The days that followed were an odd dance of closeness and disconnection. They sat at seaside cafes, sipping coffee and nibbling pastries dusted with sugar. Sometimes, Anna caught fleeting glimpses of the man she'd married, Mark laughing at a seagull stealing someone's sandwich, or smiling softly as Anna talked about her dreams of starting an art class for children in the neighborhood. Yet, the shadows lingered. One morning, Anna woke early to watch the sunrise. She tiptoed out to the balcony, hugging a sweater around her shoulders as the first slivers of light broke over the horizon. The ocean glistened like molten gold. She turned to invite Mark to join her, but he was curled away from her on the bed, breathing deeply. His phone lay beside him on the nightstand, screen faintly glowing with new notifications. Anna bit her lip, telling herself not to pry. She didn't want to become the suspicious wife she'd vowed never to be. But the small things stacked up like pebbles into a mountain she couldn't ignore. At lunch, he'd excuse himself to take calls. During dinner, he sometimes seemed startled when she spoke, as though he'd been somewhere else entirely. One afternoon, they explored a tiny antique shop, and Anna picked up an old ceramic lighthouse figurine. "Look, it's like a beacon," she said, hoping to draw him into a playful conversation. "Yeah, that's nice," Mark replied, his eyes flicking back to his phone before drifting toward the door. "I'll wait outside." Anna stood in the dim shop, the lighthouse still in her hands, as the gentle clink of wind chimes filled the silence. She felt foolish, clutching a piece of ceramic that suddenly seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. By the fourth day, Anna's thoughts grew darker. She lay awake at night, listening to the gentle crash of the waves, replaying every moment, every sign, every time Mark had pulled away. She tried to remind herself that marriage was complicated, that perhaps Mark was simply overwhelmed, or wrestling with his own inner demons. She wanted to believe. She had to believe. But a single question kept echoing through her mind like a pounding drum. What is he hiding? One quiet afternoon, seeking a moment to collect herself, Anna decided to wander the hotel alone. The hallways smelled faintly of old wood and salt, and distant laughter drifted up from the lobby where other guests lingered over drinks and soft music. Back in their room, the sun poured through gauzy curtains, turning dust motes into tiny floating stars. Anna absent-mindedly began tidying the bedside table. As she reached to tuck the hotel notepad into the drawer, her fingers brushed something unexpected. A sharp corner. Paper. She paused, her pulse quickening. Slowly, she pulled out a small, crumpled envelope, yellowed slightly with age, the edges soft from handling. On the front, in delicate cursive, was a single name. Emily. Anna's breath caught. She didn't recognize the name. Her hands shook as she slipped her finger beneath the flap and eased the letter open. She unfolded the fragile sheet, eyes scanning the looping handwriting. Each word stabbed deeper into her chest. My dearest Emily, I don't know how much longer I can live this double life. Every moment with you is like oxygen, but the guilt eats me alive. I wish I could leave her, but I can't, not yet. Please forgive me for asking you to wait. Anna's vision blurred. She stumbled backward, clutching the letter as though it were a live wire. The weight of betrayal pressed down on her so heavily she thought her knees might buckle. Mark. Her Mark. Writing love letters to someone else. In that single moment, her world fractured into 1,000 jagged shards. Everything, the trip, the gentle gestures, the distant look in his eyes, it all clicked into place like puzzle pieces forming a picture she'd never wanted to see. Anna squeezed her eyes shut, tears streaming down her cheeks, as the ocean waves crashed against the shore outside, oblivious to the silent scream rising in her chest. Anna remained frozen for several minutes, the letter trembling in her hands like a fragile leaf caught in a storm. Her eyes darted across the paper again and again, as if willing the words to change, to reveal it was all a misunderstanding. But the flowing ink and swirling loops of Mark's unmistakable handwriting only screamed one truth. He had betrayed her. Outside the hotel window, the waves rolled in and out in a steady rhythm, indifferent to the turmoil raging inside Anna's chest. She tried to swallow, but her throat felt as though it were packed with sand. A sharp sob escaped her lips, and she pressed a hand over her mouth to silence it. How long? She wondered. How long has he been living this double life? She thought back over the past year, the late-night work meetings, the quick showers the moment he returned home, the secretive texts. Tiny red flags she'd convinced herself were figments of her anxious imagination. She felt foolish now, remembering the countless times she defended Mark to friends, insisting he was just under pressure, that he'd never hurt her. A memory flickered into her mind like a cruel film reel, last Christmas, when Mark had slipped a delicate silver necklace around her neck as she unwrapped his gift beneath the tree. His smile had been soft, his eyes warm. He'd whispered, "You're my whole world." Anna clenched her fist around the letter, feeling a sudden surge of nausea. Had Emily received a gift that Christmas too? Anna collapsed onto the edge of the bed, the old mattress creaking beneath her weight. Her vision wavered between the neatly made sheets and the damning words sprawled across the paper. Her heart felt split down the center, equal parts searing pain and boiling rage. She wanted to scream. To storm into the hall and find Mark wherever he was. To shove the letter into his chest and demand the truth in front of everyone. But a voice inside her whispered caution. Don't let him see you broken. Not yet. Anna blinked hard, wiping her cheeks with trembling fingers. She glanced at the letter again and noticed a date scribbled near the bottom, just 3 months ago. A fresh wound. Not a forgotten past. 3 months ago, he was telling me he loved me. That he wanted to try again. Her stomach twisted. After several minutes, she folded the letter with shaking hands and slipped it back into its envelope. She pushed it deep into her purse, her mind racing as she tried to decide what to do next. She needed air. Quietly, she rose and tiptoed out of the room. The hallway smelled of lemon-scented polish and faint salt air drifting in through open windows. Anna gripped the stair rail tightly as she descended to the lobby, feeling unsteady on her feet. Each step felt surreal, as if she were moving through water. She slipped through the front door of the hotel, blinking in the dazzling sunlight. The sky was blindingly blue, mocking the darkness in her heart. Anna began walking aimlessly down the narrow streets lined with pastel-painted shops and flower boxes bursting with color. People milled about, laughing, licking ice cream cones, snapping photos of boats bobbing in the harbor. Their joy felt like a physical blow. How could the world remain so blissful while hers was crumbling? Eventually, Anna found herself near the harbor, where wooden docks stretched over glittering water. She leaned against a railing, gripping the sun-warmed wood, staring into the gentle ripples below. The salty breeze brushed her hair back from her face, cool against her tear-streaked cheeks. Memories washed over her like incoming tides, Mark bringing her here on their first anniversary, kissing her forehead while they watched sailboats glide past under a pink sunset. He told her then that she was his safe harbor, his home. And yet here she was, adrift, the anchor of their marriage cut loose. She felt the letter burning in her purse, as though it were radioactive. The urge to confront him surged inside her like wildfire. But fear gave her pause. What if he denied it? What if he confessed, but she couldn't bear to hear the details? She pressed the heels of her hands to her eyes, willing the ache in her chest to subside. As the sun began to slide lower in the sky, Anna finally turned back toward the hotel. Her legs felt heavy, her thoughts even heavier. She climbed the stairs quietly and paused outside their room, her hand hovering over the knob. Muffled sounds filtered through the door. Mark's voice, low and tense. A woman's voice answered faintly. Anna's pulse skyrocketed. She leaned closer, her ear almost touching the cool wood. She couldn't hear words clearly, just fragments, the cadence of an intimate conversation. "Emily?" Her mind screamed. Suddenly the doorknob rattled. Anna stumbled backward just as Mark opened the door, his eyes widening in surprise. "Oh, hey. I was just looking for you," he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. His phone was still in his hand. Anna stared at him, feeling her insides churn. "Who were you talking to?" she asked, voice tight. Mark's smile faltered. "No one. Work stuff." "Mark," Anna's voice dropped, trembling. "Don't lie to me." Mark blinked, swallowed, and pocketed his phone. "Anna, please. Can we talk about this later? Let's just go down to dinner. Have a nice night. We're here to fix things." Anna let out a dry, humorless laugh. "Fix things? You mean the marriage you've been destroying behind my back?" Mark flinched as though struck. Anna realized she was breathing hard, her chest rising and falling. She clenched her fists, fighting the urge to fling the letter at him right then and there. But some deep instinct told her to wait. To hear every word. To force him to confess. That evening, Anna dressed in a simple black dress and pulled her hair into a loose knot. She stared at her reflection in the mirror for a long moment, studying the faint shadows beneath her eyes. She looked older, tired, changed. In her purse, the letter felt like a loaded gun. She found Mark already waiting for her in the lobby. He was wearing a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking every bit the charming man she'd fallen in love with. But tonight, Anna could see through the facade. His eyes darted over her face, searching for clues to how much she knew. They walked in silence to the hotel's small restaurant, the sound of waves crashing just beyond the windows. Dinner was agony. Candles flickered on their table, casting wavering shadows over plates of seared fish and vegetables neither of them touched. The restaurant hummed with gentle conversation from other couples, oblivious to the storm brewing at Anna and Mark's table. Mark tried, half-heartedly, to talk about the day's plans, about going kayaking or visiting a local art gallery. Anna sat stiffly, her fingers drumming against her napkin. Halfway through the meal, she reached into her purse. The paper crinkled softly as she withdrew the envelope. Mark's eyes dropped to it instantly. His breath hitched. Anna placed it carefully on the table between them. She stared at him, voice barely above a whisper. "Care to explain this?" Mark swallowed. His jaw tightened. He reached for the envelope with shaking fingers but stopped halfway, as if afraid to touch it. His eyes filled with something between fear and resignation. Anna held his gaze, her voice trembling but strong. "Who is Emily, Mark?" The question hung between them like a blade. Mark dropped his eyes. He looked as if he might be sick. For several long seconds, he said nothing. The air felt thick enough to choke. Finally, in a voice raw and low, he murmured, "Anna. I'm so sorry." Anna's pulse thundered in her ears. "Sorry for what?" Mark closed his eyes, exhaling a trembling breath. "For everything. For lying. For hurting you." He finally lifted his gaze to hers. His eyes shimmered with tears. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Anna's fingers tightened around the edge of the table. "How long, Mark? How long have you been lying to me?" Mark's lips parted as if to answer, then closed again. He dragged a trembling hand through his hair. "About a year. I met Emily at a conference. It started as talking. Just talking. I was lonely. Scared. Things between us, between you and me, felt broken. And then it became more." Anna felt her stomach drop as though she'd plummeted off a cliff. Her voice was icy. "And you thought taking me here would fix things? A vacation? While you're still in contact with her?" Mark shook his head, tears sliding down his cheeks. I haven't seen her in weeks. I swear. I was going to end it. I thought this trip would help me, help us. Anna stared at him, disgust twisting her features. You thought a beach and pretty views would erase the fact that you betrayed me? Mark leaned forward, reaching for her hand. Anna. I love you. I made a terrible mistake. But I love you. Please, give me a chance to make this right. Anna recoiled, pulling her hand away. Don't touch me. Mark blinked rapidly, desperation filling his eyes. Please. I'll do anything. I'll cut off all contact with her. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever you want. Anna let out a shaky breath, her chest constricting with grief. You've already done enough. She rose abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor, and left the restaurant without looking back. Wonderful. Let's bring your story home with part 3, continuing the emotional journey and resolution for Anna. I'll deepen the confrontation, show Anna's inner transformation, and wrap up with an emotionally satisfying ending true to your theme of humiliation, betrayal, and potential redemption. Anna walked quickly through the dim corridors of the hotel, feeling as though the walls were pressing in on her. Her heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the muffled voices and clinking cutlery from the restaurant below. When she reached their room, she slammed the door shut behind her and stood there, trembling, the echo of wood and brass reverberating around the room like a gunshot. She pressed her palms against her temples, as if trying to physically push away the chaotic swirl of memories and emotions battering her skull. She couldn't breathe. The ocean outside roared as if mirroring her turmoil, waves hurling themselves against the rocks in a relentless fury. This was supposed to be a place of healing, she thought bitterly. Instead, it's the graveyard of our marriage. A few minutes later, the door opened behind her. Mark stepped inside slowly, shoulders hunched, his face streaked with tears. His voice cracked as he spoke. Anna, please talk to me. Anna spun around, fury igniting in her chest. What else is there to say, Mark? You lied. You cheated. You let me believe this trip was about saving us, but the whole time, you were still tangled up with her. Mark opened his mouth, but Anna cut him off, her voice trembling but rising steadily. Do you even realize what you've done to me? You took everything I believed in, love, loyalty, trust, and stomped on it. He reached out for her, but she stepped back, her eyes blazing. Don't touch me. Mark's shoulders sagged. He sank onto the edge of the bed, burying his face in his hands. I know I hurt you. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm begging you, please don't leave me. I love you. I made a mistake, but I can fix it. Anna stared at him, stunned by the audacity of his words. Fix it? How do you fix betraying someone you promised to love and protect? Mark looked up, his eyes desperate. I'll cut Emily out of my life completely. I'll show you my phone, my emails, everything. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything. Anna shook her head. You should have thought of that before crawling into bed with someone else. Mark stood abruptly, his voice breaking. I was lost, Anna. We were drifting apart. I felt like you didn't see me anymore. Like I was invisible. Anna's laughter was sharp and bitter. Invisible? That's rich, Mark. I was right here, every day, loving you, believing in us. You were the one who stopped talking. The one who disappeared into late meetings and your goddamn phone. Mark took a hesitant step closer. It didn't mean I stopped loving you. Anna felt tears burning in her eyes again, but she blinked them away. Don't you dare say you loved me while you were writing love letters to Emily. Mark opened his mouth, but no words came out. The silence stretched between them, brittle as glass. Anna turned away, gripping the edge of the dresser so hard her knuckles went white. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? How small it makes me feel? I've spent months thinking I was the problem, that I wasn't enough, when all along, it was you. Mark closed his eyes, voice raw. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But please, don't give up on us. Anna spun to face him, a tear sliding down her cheek. Why? So you can keep me here as your safety net while you sneak around behind my back? I deserve better than that, Mark. I deserve someone who chooses me every day. Not just when it's convenient. Mark collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. Please. I love you. I don't want to lose you. Anna stared at him, feeling her heart shatter all over again. She wanted so desperately to believe that love could conquer this. That the man she'd married was still somewhere inside the stranger standing before her. But even now, she saw the selfishness in his eyes, the fear of losing the comfort of the life they'd built. It wasn't love that held him here. It was fear of being alone. Anna took a deep breath, steadying herself. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. I'm leaving in the morning, Mark. Mark's head snapped up. No. Anna, please. She held up a hand. Don't. I'm leaving. I don't know what happens after that. Maybe someday we can talk. Maybe not. But I can't be here with you. Not like this. Mark staggered forward, grabbing her hands. I'll change. I'll do anything. Anna pulled her hands away, gentle but firm. Sometimes love isn't enough. She picked up her suitcase and placed it on the bed, her fingers moving mechanically as she unzipped it and began packing. Mark slumped to the floor, sobbing, his cries muffled against the hotel carpet. Anna tried not to look at him as she folded her pale blue dress and tucked it away. The same dress she'd worn when they walked on the beach, imagining a future together. Her heart ached so fiercely she wondered how it kept beating. Mark's voice came from behind her, cracked and broken. Please. I'll wait for you. However long it takes. Anna zipped her suitcase shut and finally turned to him, tears glistening in her eyes. Don't wait for me, Mark. Fix yourself. Not for me, but because you need to. The next morning, the sun rose over the ocean in a blaze of pink and gold. The waves shimmered, indifferent to human sorrow. Seagulls wheeled overhead, their cries echoing across the bay. Anna stood on the sidewalk outside the hotel, suitcase by her side, watching the horizon as if searching for answers. She was exhausted, her eyes red, her soul bruised, but she felt a glimmer of something she hadn't felt in weeks. Resolve. She hailed a taxi and climbed inside. As the car pulled away, she glanced back one last time at the white hotel with its seashell decorations. The place where her marriage had ended, and where, in a strange way, she'd found herself again. On the flight home, Anna stared out the window, watching clouds drift by like soft, endless waves. She pulled out her notebook and began to write. Sometimes the people who claim to love you are the ones who break you the worst. But sometimes, leaving isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. I don't know what the future holds. But I know I deserve to be loved the way I love, with honesty. With loyalty. With my whole heart. She paused, tapping the pen against the page. Then she wrote. And I will never settle for less again. Anna closed her eyes, letting silent tears fall. But when she opened them, her gaze was steady. Strong. The woman who arrived at this vacation had been hoping to save her marriage. The woman flying home was determined to save herself.